Some moves look like simple signings from the outside, but inside the building, they feel like clues. Njoku comes in on a one-year deal worth up to $8 million, and that tells you the Chargers are trying to give Herbert real answers before the defense even gets a chance to breathe. But the behind-the-scenes story does not stop there. A major name still on the market could spark an old connection with McDaniel. The defense looks like it may be closing the door on another edge move, and Jake Slaughter is already walking into real pressure inside. Hit that like button and come with me, because today Los Angeles sent a message. Now we get to the detail that changes the whole temperature in the room. David Njoku is not coming here just to be window dressing, and he is not coming on a deal that traps the future either. That is what I love most about this move. 1 year, up to $8 million. For a tight end with 384 catches, 4,062 yards, 34 touchdowns, and a Pro Bowl season in 2023, that is not desperation. That is a clean bet with real upside. And behind the scenes, you can feel the logic. Los Angeles looked at Herbert and basically said, enough asking him to turn every third down into emergency surgery. Mike McDaniel's offense needs layers. It needs movement. It needs players who can sell the block, attack space, beat linebackers, punish smaller safeties, and keep the defense trapped between chasing the ball and defending the middle. Njoku gives them exactly that kind of movable piece. The most interesting part is that he is not walking into an empty room. Oronde Gadsden already showed up as a trusted target, with 49 catches, 664 yards, and 11 explosive plays as a rookie. That is not some tiny detail. For a fifth-round pick to become a real presence that early, Herbert clearly found comfort there. Charlie Kolar, on the other hand, was paid to do the dirty work. 3 years, $24.3 million. A strong blocking profile. The kind of tight end who helps sell zone runs, play action, motion, all the things McDaniel loves to build before the ball comes out. So Njoku steps in as the connecting piece that makes everything harder to diagnose. If the defense goes light, the Chargers can get big. If it brings size onto the field, Herbert can hunt a mismatch in space. If it treats everything like a run, McDaniel has the pass waiting behind it. If it respects the pass too much, Kolar and the line can lean on the run game. That is chess. And yeah, I know some people will look at the recent dip in production and get nervous. Fine, that conversation is fair. He is coming off a less explosive stretch in Cleveland, but that is exactly why the contract makes sense. Los Angeles did not pay like it was buying the absolute peak. It paid to find out how much of that athlete still shows up when he leaves a stuck offense and starts catching passes from Justin Herbert. To me, this is the kind of move serious teams make in May. They do not scream. They do not beg for attention. They just put a piece on the board and let the rest of the league notice the problem later. And this is where Hortiz's imaginary phone starts to feel heavy on the desk. Because adding Njoku does not end the conversation about more offensive help. It changes the question. Before, it was, who gives Herbert a real adult weapon right now? After this deal, it becomes, does Los Angeles still want another space creator? Or does it keep its powder dry for the future? The name in that debate is Deebo Samuel, connected to the Chargers and Bears in a read from Paul Kasabian of Bleacher Report. And I understand why this rumor has oxygen. Deebo is not the 2021 Storm anymore, the guy who destroyed angles as a receiver, runner, and offensive laboratory piece. Nobody has to pretend time froze. But it would also be lazy to act like he is finished after a season in Washington with 72 catches, 727 yards, and 5 touchdowns, especially with Jaden Daniels out for long stretches. The behind-the-scenes connection that pulls Los Angeles into this conversation is McDaniel. Deebo's best year came in San Francisco, in an offense run by Kyle Shanahan with McDaniel directly involved in the build. That matters because Deebo's value was never just lining up outside and winning traditional routes. His value was organized chaos. Motion before the snap, quick touches, screens, sweeps, short routes with blockers in front. A defense pauses for half a second, and suddenly 3rd and 8 turns into a first down with the stadium wide awake. Now, do the Chargers need that after Njoku? The honest answer is, it depends on the price and the role. Ladd McConkey still has the talent to be a central piece. Quentin Johnston carries the investment and the physical tools. Trey Harris arrived as a second-round pick. Gadsden and Njoku can attack the middle. Kolar helps dress the offense in heavier looks. So Deebo should not come in as the savior or as the volume king. He would need to come in as situational acceleration, a piece McDaniel can use to manipulate a defense when the offense needs a short, physical, nervous spark. Chicago makes sense on paper too because Caleb Williams is rising, and Ben Johnson loves building answers into an offense. But But if I am looking at this through Chargers' eyes, the colder question is this: is there a contract cheap enough to make Deebo a smart luxury? Because then, my friend, it gets interesting. Herbert, with Njoku, Gadsden, Ladd, Trey Harris, and Deebo used in the right doses, is not just collecting names. It is forcing the defense to reveal its plan before the ball comes out. And that is McDaniel's secret, making the offense feel bigger than 11 players. If Deebo accepts a specific role and controlled money, Los Angeles should pick up the phone. If it turns into an inflated bidding war built on nostalgia, let somebody else pay for the memory. On the other side of the ball, the message is quieter, but maybe even more revealing. Everybody loves imagining the next veteran walking in, the next trade exploding, the next big name wearing powder blue and gold. But behind the scenes, taking Akheem Mesidor in the first round feels like it shut a door that a lot of people still want to keep open. Odafe Oweh leaving created a real need. That is not fan drama. Oweh came over from the Ravens in 2025, gave them 7.5 sacks in 12 games, helped take pressure off Mack and Thule, then went and got a massive deal in Washington. 4 years, $96 million. The Chargers did not want to step into that financial fight, and I defend that. Paying everybody like the cap is fake is how average teams sabotage themselves while trying to look aggressive. So Los Angeles answered in the draft. Mesidor, pick 22, brings power, alignment versatility, and a profile that can work exactly because he does not need to be the hero of the defense on the very first snap of his career. He can play in 3 rusher packages. He can kick inside. He can attack space created by Thule, Khalil Mack, and all the attention that front already demands. That is the kind of fit that does not need a national headline to hurt an offense on Sunday. Of course there is doubt. Mesidor has an injury history. He will be 25 at the start of his rookie season, and some people will wonder whether his athletic ceiling is already close to maxed out. Fair, but the Chargers' read may be different. Maybe they did not draft some distant project. Maybe they drafted someone ready enough to give immediate return to a defense that does not have 3 years to wait. That is why I am not really buying the expectation that Los Angeles is still going to make a hard push for Jadeveon Clowney, Joey Bosa, or even Kayvon Thibodeau if the market heats up. With roughly $38 million in cap space after Njoku, the temptation exists on paper. But the real money is looking at Tuli Tuipulotu II and Derwin James. That is the heavy behind-the-scenes part. It is not just who you sign, it is who you protect before another team starts circling. So tell me this, pure Chargers read. Would you rather see that money saved for Tuli and Derwin? Or would you still chase one more veteran edge even after Mesidor? Because to me, the front office is sending a quiet message. The big defensive bet has already been made. Now they want the rookie to prove the room does not need another expensive name to breathe. And all of this comes back to the same place, even if the conversation is less glamorous. The middle of the offensive line. Because you can add Njoku. You can dream about Deebo. You can draw up motion until your hand falls off. If Justin Herbert takes 54 sacks again, the whole project turns to smoke. That was the quiet embarrassment of 2025. It was not just an ugly stat. It was a warning that the offense could not survive with that interior. That is why the change was brutal. The old idea of simply stacking big bodies and hoping strength solves everything is out. A different type of player is in. Tyler Biadasz comes in to be the center. Cole Strange comes in at guard. Jake Slaughter comes from the draft. And even though all 2,053 of his college snaps came at center, the immediate projection is guard. Logan Taylor brings versatility. Alex Harkey, even coming from right tackle at Oregon, is expected to get looks inside too. That is not a small adjustment. That is an identity renovation. Field Yates of ESPN put Slaughter among the rookies who could make an impact right away. And that caught my attention because it shows what people around the league are seeing. This is not just a second-round pick made out of need. This is an athlete with toughness, lateral movement, and a profile built for zone. And when you remember Slaughter posted a 9.97 RAS, third among 735 centers evaluated since 1987, you understand why the Chargers accepted the risk of the transition. But here is the uncomfortable behind-the-scenes truth. This pick is going to age in an extreme way. If Slaughter becomes a guard quickly, Hortiz is going to look cold, bold, and ahead of the market. It will be the kind of pick people later pretend they understood from the start. But if he struggles with the position change while natural guards produce early for other teams, the criticism is going to hit hard. And it should. Protecting Herbert is not some front office detail in Los Angeles. It is the central mission of the franchise. The difference is that now there is coherence. McDaniel wants zone, rhythm, movement, angles. So it makes sense to trade out more static maulers for linemen who can reach the second level, work laterally, and keep the offense flowing. Slaughter can be the piece that turns that theory into real Sundays. He does not have to be perfect in September, but he has to compete like a starter, learn fast, and keep the 2025 story from biting this team again. In the end, this is the most important block for Herbert, even if it is not the flashiest one. Weapons sell hope. The offensive line gives that hope a chance to stand. So the picture of the day is this: the Chargers are not making empty noise. They are building an offense with answers. Njoku arrives as a real piece for Herbert. Debo remains a market possibility, but only if the price respects the plan. Mesidor shows the defense may have already made its big bet, and Slaughter becomes the direct test of McDaniel's new identity inside. The behind-the-scenes message is screaming without a press conference. Los Angeles wants to be faster, smarter, and less dependent on miracles. If you want to follow this build without lazy anti-Bolts narratives, subscribe, hit that like button, and turn on notifications. Bolt up!